Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it.
On October 27, 2023, the Jamaican Constitutional Court handed down its ruling on the challenge to Sections 76, 77, and 79 of the Offences Against the Person Act, otherwise called the Buggery Law. The court rightly upheld that the Savings Law clause in the Charter of Rights protected the Buggery Law from constitutional challenge. The law stays in place. That is what Parliament intended when it passed the Savings Law clause in 2011. However, the ruling revealed something else. The dicta, or side comments, of two of the three judges revealed to us their personal worldview on the matter of LGBTQ+ activism, political activism, because this is a campaign determined to change law, policy, and culture. These two judges revealed that they have been exposed to and influenced by the sick minds of Alfred Kinsey and John Money, two dead men whose lies have caused countless harm and abuse of innocent babies and children and untold destruction to society. We need to inform you, fellow citizens, about the truth of this case, and we need to inform the judges who have either knowingly or unknowingly been drawn into perpetuating the perversity of Alfred Kinsey and John Money. Let's begin. Dr. Alfred Kinsey, 1894 to 1956, was an American zoologist. Yes, he studied gall wasps, to be more precise, and yet he became known as the father of the sexual revolution. He published two books, Sexual Behavior in the Human Male in 1948 and Sexual Behavior in the Human Female in 1953. Together they're called the Kinsey Reports. He claimed that in the 1940s and 50s, most American men and women were fornicating, committing adultery, incest, practiced homosexuality, pedophilia, and bestiality, that women were not harmed by rape or abortion, and that children were sexual from birth and benefited from sex with adults. He invented the Kinsey scale, declaring that few persons were either exclusively heterosexual or exclusively homosexual. The majority of the population was somewhere in between, and whatever you were, it was all normal according to Dr. Kinsey. It was later revealed that Kinsey practiced bisexuality, was addicted to pornography, supported pedophilia, and forced his staff to have sex with each other, including with his wife. It was also found out that he manipulated statistics for his books and incorporated the journals of pedophiles who recorded their sexual abuse of hundreds of boys and girls from as young as 2 months up to 14 years. And he refused to report these pedophiles to the police. The records of terrified babies screaming, crying, resisting, fainting, experiencing extreme pain were written up as orgasms and presented as scientific research. That was Alfred Kinsey. Then there was Dr. John Money, 1921 to 2006. Born in New Zealand, he lived and worked in the USA. He also supported pedophilia and believed that boys could be turned into girls and girls into boys simply by surgically reconstructing genitalia and raising them as either female or male. It was John Money who popularized the terms sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender roles, and encouraged the false idea that gender is a social construct. In the 1960s, he started so-called sex reassignment surgery at the Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, USA. His most famous experiment was Bruce David Reamer. Please look up the full story on YouTube. This is what happened. Bruce was one of a twin. His genitalia had been terribly damaged in a botched circumcision. His parents contacted Dr. Money, who recommended castrating Bruce and raising him as a girl. The parents agreed. Over the years, little Bruce and his twin brother were sent to see Dr. Money alone for follow-up visits. He forced the children to strip naked, pretend to have sex with each other. He photographed them and screamed at them until they were afraid of being beaten. Dr. Money then falsely presented to his peers and the public that a boy could successfully live as a girl. But that was a lie. Bruce was so psychologically distressed that his parents finally revealed the truth to him when he was 15. He immediately went back to living as a boy and renamed himself David. Sadly, the trauma that he and his brother suffered took its toll. They both committed suicide 2 years apart while still in their 30s. Alfred Kinsey and John Money are depraved, dead, and discredited, but their worldview about sexual identity and behavior is being kept alive. Did you know that in 1973, the American Psychiatric Association, APA, voted to remove homosexuality from being listed as a mental disorder in the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, DSM? The DSM is used by the medical profession to uniformly define mental illnesses. How did this happen? The task force that recommended the change included Dr. John Money and one of Alfred Kinsey's co-authors, Paul Gebhard. The decision by that task force was also largely based on the Kinsey reports. This vote by the APA in 1973 was possibly the first time in history that a medical condition was all of a sudden changed from abnormal to normal on the basis of a vote. Politics, not science. But understand the implications of this decision. Calling what is abnormal normal would mean that legal and social recognition should be granted. Calling an illness health would also prevent those struggling with unwanted same-sex attraction and desires from getting help if they so wished. What else has happened? The indoctrination of children through a dangerous education curriculum called Comprehensive Sexuality Education, or CSE. CSE was developed by the Sexuality Information and Education Council of the United States, SECUS, which grew out of the Kinsey Institute. CSE sexualizes children, teaching them that unhealthy sexual behaviors are safe. CSE was found in the Health and Family Life Education, HFLE, sex education modules back in 2012 in Jamaica, which caused great public outrage and an eventual rewriting of the grade 7 to 9 curriculum. CSE is also present in certain workbooks at the primary level. You also need to know that Kinsey's reports went overseas, including to the United Kingdom. The 1957 Wolfenden Report on Homosexual Offenses and Prostitution referred to Kinsey's arguments, statistics, and the Kinsey scale in arriving at their recommendation to decriminalize consensual buggery between adult men. Please understand that the UK's Buggery Law was amended on the basis of fake science, flawed ideology, and the rape of babies. The Wolfenden Report was favorably cited by the European Court of Human Rights in the 1981 case of Dujon, which led to the eventual decriminalization of buggery between consenting adult men in the Republic of Ireland. The 2003 U.S. Supreme Court decision of Lawrence v. Texas struck down laws against consensual sodomy between adult men across the U.S. and favorably cited Wolfenden and Dujon. The case of Obergefell in 2015, which legalized same-sex marriage in the U.S., favorably cited the 1973 APA vote and the case of Lawrence v. Texas. The Wolfenden Report, Lawrence v. Texas, Dujon, and cases from Fiji and South Africa were favorably cited in the Belizean case, which decriminalized buggery between consenting adult men in that country. The case from South Africa favorably cited Dujon, and the case from Fiji favorably cited Wolfenden, Dujon, Lawrence v. Texas, and the South African case. Dujon, Lawrence v. Texas, and the Belizean case were cited in Jason Jones v. the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago, which struck down the Buggery Law as between consenting adult men in that country. That case is currently on appeal. Do you see the pattern? One case stacking on top of the other, all being cited as precedent in subsequent cases, and every single one of them rooted in the sick worldview of Alfred Kinsey and John Money. If the root of the tree is poisoned, so is the fruit. This is deception of pandemic proportions. And here we have in Jamaica the case of Maurice Tomlinson v. the Attorney General of Jamaica. One of the judges favorably cites Lawrence v. Texas, Jason Jones, the cases from South Africa and Fiji, as well as a case from Mauritius, which favorably cites Wolfenden, Lawrence v. Texas, and the case from Belize, and a case from India that cited Wolfenden, Dujan, Lawrence v. Texas, the cases from Fiji, Belize, South Africa, and Jason Jones, among other cases. One of the Jamaican judges said that the Buggery Law was distasteful. The other said that, sadly, Parliament's retention of the law, quote, is not in keeping with present-day rational thinking or cannot be supported by international standards on rights to privacy, freedom of thought, expression, and equality before the law, end of quote. The truth is, the Buggery Law acknowledges and confirms design in the human body. A fundamental error of those two Jamaican judges was to treat anal penetration, that is buggery, as equal to sexual intercourse or vaginal penetration. Buggery, which can be practiced by male to male or male to female, involves an organ of the body designed for elimination of waste. Real sexual intercourse involves only the reproductive organs of a male and a female. Anatomy and biology matter. Another fundamental error by those two judges was to treat same-sex sexual relationships as normal and equal to opposite-sex sexual relationships. They're not. Two males or two females do not equal a male and a female. Those who wish to remove the Buggery Law frame their arguments as a desire to allow consenting adults to do what they wish in privacy. People already do what they please in private. The real reason for removing the Buggery Law is to lay the foundation for so-called LGBT rights, which are fake, based on warped desire and a wholly illogical ideology. Activist judges would then be expected, through their rulings, to impose fake rights on their respective societies. If you think the LGBTQ plus activists only want to repeal the Buggery Law and be done there, you're wrong. In addition to same-sex marriage and parenting rights, transgender so-called rights will allow men claiming to be women to use women's bathrooms, play on women's sporting teams, be transferred to women's jails, and put real women in real danger of assault and rape. And those who speak the truth to defend biology, which cannot be changed, are charged with hate speech, terrorism, and subjected to gag orders. Is this the Jamaica that we want for ourselves and our children? The only logical basis for human rights is the worldview that affirms the inherent value of every human being and the fact of design and purpose in the natural order of the universe. That coherent and rational worldview is the Judeo-Christian worldview. Parliament is right to preserve the Buggery Law. That law protects and preserves privacy, freedom of thought and conscience, freedom of expression, the right to equality before the law, as well as parental rights, freedom of religion, and the innocence of children. We thank the judges for resisting any urge to reinterpret the law according to their personal feelings. We hope that their worldview will be transformed in light of the dark and sordid history of Alfred, Kinsey, and John Money. Leave the Buggery Law. Don't touch it.
Leave it. Mr. Philip, leave it. Mr. Leave it. Leave it. Don't cling to it. Leave it. Not touch it. Leave it. Not touch it. Left it. Leave it. No move. Nobody touch it.